Finally made it to NAMM at Anaheim, California. I am ready to head inside. Gonna go pick up my badge. Let's go. Wow, there are a lot of guitar components here. You know, as a synthesizer guy, I'm always thinking, how many guitars do you really need? But I guess that's probably the same thing that guitar players will say about synth guys like me. How many synthesizers do you really need? Oh, anyway, it's really loud. Okay. So that's super cool. I was just talking to a Reverb rep, and on Reverb they may have certain products like pedals and things where they have like Reverb exclusive pedals. So that's pretty cool. They're trying to do something a little different than say some place like eBay, where I don't know if you would want to buy a kind of like co-founded by eBay, eBay pedals by eBay. I don't know about that, but a pedal collaboration by Reverb, I think that's pretty cool. It's really good to see them at NAMM.
So here you have the OSMOSE synthesizer. So it looks like a familiar synthesizer. You have your regular keys. You can control other synthesizers. You have an internal engine. However, there's a big difference, I would say, with regular classic, synthesizers. Is that if I press the key, is that you have a built-in pitch control. And another big difference is that you produce sound as soon as you brush the keys. So that's the big difference. And if I demonstrate it, yeah, it's very complex under the hood, but we wanted that product, that instrument OSMOSE, to be simple to tackle and to be an intuitive, way into MP. That was really the initial idea. And what was hard was to actually implement, all these motions within real, traditional keys, And yeah, that was the idea. It was to give access to MP as many people as possible, so they could fully express themselves in a natural way, in natural and intuitive experience, I would say. That was the original idea. Yeah. It's a big challenge. It's I think that the pandemic was tough for everybody, for component supply and just providing products and instruments to people. I think that the other products that we have created so far, the two that you have right behind you, the software Noisy and Imagine, and the help that we got from the original backers because they paid the deposit at first, to get the OSMOSE. That really helped us, go through, and we are really grateful, of the support that we got from the community, that they have been really patient. But, now we're really happy because the deliveries have actually started, and we know that people that pre-order OSMOSE now today still have to wait a few months to get it, but it's still better. It has improved compared to the past, and we're aiming at delivering as fast as we can without, of course, sacrificing the level of quality, because it's a compromise. If you see all the moving parts that you have in there, the calibration to get all the keys aligned, and I think what caught people's attention initially was the concept, is that you have something that people were waiting for. When we're interfacing with artists that were a huge part of the project, they all told us, I've been waiting for that for years or decades or whatever. So the promise, the actual promise, was what got people hooked into the product. But you were mentioning trust, and I think trust comes from the touche that you have right behind us, which is that controller.
Oh yes.
And that really, and that really laid, it laid the foundation of OSMOSE, because basically, if I have to sum it up, OSMOSE is like integrating the technology of Touché.
So this wasn't your first product. People knew about you guys with that product, and now you're
We built up on the experience of that, and since Touché was a product that people loved because it was bringing, you know, something different, tactile to the table, I think, in my humble opinion, it really helped get people in board. And the name of
What's the
Icanojo.
use of like really amazing sound if you can't express it, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
to give musicians new way to control sound.
So this is Nina, which is a 12-voice polyphonic synthesizer. It's 4-part multi-timbral, which takes advantage of those 12 voices fully. It's a 100% analog signal path. So analog oscillators 1 and 2 are analog. Oscillator 3 is a digital wavetable controlled by FPGA. Let's talk about the motorized functionality of Nina.
Let's just go straight to the thing that people care about. It moves by itself.
Yeah. So every time we bring up a new preset on Nina, as we load, all the knobs move to the correct parameters. There's an A and a B, so we can see there's the A and the B. And then we have the morph control, which allows it to move between the A and B parameter. That also affects the entire modulation matrix. The effect, it does, there's some elements that it doesn't affect, like the effects, for instance, glide, tempo. Those things are controlled by the keyboard, of course. So most things are modulatable and affected by the morph. Nina also has a very extensive modulation matrix. So once we switch over to modulation here, the 16 keys along the bottom all become the modulation sources, and the top control panel becomes the destinations. So you're able to see how much of any source you're setting to a destination, and it's all instantly visible on the control panel there. And the beauty of that is that you can skip back, know that your settings are precise exactly as you set them up in the first place. It's a very useful tool and opens up Nina to a world of possibilities. There's 32 motors used in Nina, including the data wheel here. They're not stepped as such. They are all controlled by a brushless encoder or brushless optical encoder. So on the tuning, for instance, currently that's in fine tune and it feels like a standard potentiometer. But when I switch over to coarse,
I see. That's what somebody was. Sorry, I have to just feel it. I see. Okay.
so now it turns to a 5-position switch.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's cool.
And similarly with things like the amount of spin, that gives you a 0 D10, so you can pick your 0, and then all the knobs have the end stop, but you can force the instrument past the end stops. That doesn't break anything. There's no moving parts in there that are going to get damaged by doing that.
Yeah.
One of the things we set out to achieve was making a knob for synthesizers and other musical instruments that's going to have a much prolonged lifetime.
Yeah.
So really all knobs on whether it's mixer equipment for DJs or synthesizers, over time they lose their brightness, you know, they start to get a bit scratchy sounding.
Yeah.
So our motor solves that problem, as in it's contactless. The life cycle is a lot longer. We expect it to be like 500 times that of a standard potentiometer. Nina itself has some like unique features. The circuitry's been custom designed by us. The motors are custom designed by us. The ladder filter itself we've designed based on existing technology, but it also has its own characteristics when it comes to sound. We are getting very close to making it MPE compatible, so we'll soon release a new firmware version that enables it to work with MPE devices.
Hello, my name is Andreas. I'm designer for ENDORPHINES. We manufacture Eurorack gear since more than 10 years already. We are a Barcelona-based company. We have almost everything you can imagine. We have sequencers, multi-bands, we have dual oscillators, single oscillators, auto-tune, without auto-tune, filters, effects. And at some point, so we did like lots of different products and lots of different collaborations with people. And some of the products have so strong idea that they sometimes they were a bit too narrow in the Eurorack, and they can even shine more if we can deliver the same ideas in the kind of standalone form. And pedal form is a kind of successful way to deliver it, and it's kind of an interesting way because you can not only use it with the guitars, because for guitars apparently you need to have a control with a feet. It can do that, but it also can process synthesizers, and it can also process just normal line level signals. People can jam with it and use it as a effect pedals, normal ones. To make the pedal, we had to redo absolutely from scratch. So we had the code for the effects and so on, but the interface is completely different.
Wow.
Here you have unipolar power supply, you have 9 volts, but the idea we have protection here, so you can plug it to 12 volts, 15 volts, 18 volts, 9, center positive, center negative. It's just everything it works. It just works.
Yeah.
So I think that's a protection is a good thing because
of course.
we use lots of kind of here also power supplies and for make it in a good way, it's needed to be a proper way doing things. So what we have here, so the main idea of the Eurorack module of the Ghost was that we have effects, we have distortion, and we have filter.
Yeah.
And you can find different combinations when you sequence them in different way. I think the idea of the modules is very strong, and it's cool that when it sees itself in different worlds.
Yeah.
It's a full MIDI. Each knob has MIDI CC, can receive MIDI CC, can send MIDI CC.
Yeah.
There is MIDI clock, can be received for the time of the delay, and can also be LFOs, can also be MIDI clocked, you know. Which was a really like all the MIDI implementation just from scratch. And the expression pedal works as a microcontroller, so you can assign it literally to any parameter when your work is up and down. We are about to launch in that autumn 2023.
Yeah.
So
Andrew's gonna do a video, I'm sure, of this whole thing.
I hope so.
How much is he making on this? You don't have to answer. I'm just messing with you. This is a great collaboration. Andrew he's fantastic.
I think he did a fantastic job because, you know, it was not like just like ideas and boom and it's done, you know. Very important things that he came up with the idea of the UI. So because every knob has a LED and it can work, showing the user relative value. But the idea is that you can assign the LFO, for example, we assign it in a things, and then you basically have it, and it's blinking. So, for example, you can that one assign it to different things, whatever.
So this is a UI / industrial design thing, the 9 knob.
Exactly.
Oh, the 9
LEDs. So basically, those are 9 presets. You can go with them like straightforward.
That was something that you collaborated with Andrew. You went back and forth.
It's back and forth. Okay, it's back and forth. It's like an infinite thing. I think that was a good idea because in the end, there is no menu diving. So you have what you see. There are some secondary menus. We do it all the time. So so we have to all the time. We have to cut the features because I mean, in the end, we do the endorphins since more than 10 years.
Yeah.
So in the end, you are like how you design the things. You just also develop some blocks. You develop it over the years. And sometimes you reuse it. And that's not the time just reinventing the bicycle every time we are doing something new. Of course, everything like filters, there are some kind of carpets. Everything you do, reverbs, there are some problems. And some like if you start to design it or you just write the code from scratch. It's amazing. Actually, it's the first day, but we got so many like responses already.
Yeah.
So I was not expecting it actually, you know.
TERRA is our newest musical instrument. It's a 12-voice microtonal synthesizer. And like I was saying about the pulsar, you know, there's no MIDI input. You have to sit down, play it with your hands. And Probably the best thing about the TERRA is really its interface, and that's like one of one of Vlad's main goals is to kind of redefine how we play our instruments. And it doesn't have keys because you would not get near the amount of expression with that. If
It's expression. It's tactile.
Yes.
To get away from the mouse clicking.
Yes.
And the piano.
No programming.
Yeah.
And even what few knobs are on this, they're really meant to just set and forget. You're not supposed to, we don't want you to sit there and be tweaking knobs the whole time. We want you to sit down and play it. The TERRA will be available in about 3 to 4 months. We don't have a price set in stone yet, but we're thinking maybe around $1,300
Okay.
or so.
All right, US.
So,
That's awesome.
yeah.
Thank you so much for your time.
All right, well, version 2.0 we actually released in March.
Yep.
It's an update to all of the synthesizers, and it adds some features. If you have like the Explorer or the desktop or the original HYDRASYNTH, one of the big things is that it adds 3 more banks of sounds. So now you can have 1,024 patches instead of 640. In addition to adding the banks, we added some special features like if you look at the oscillators, for example, now we have bit reduction. So we can take a standard saw wave and reduce it to 16, 10, 9, 8, 7. You can see it's starting to get a little granular here. We also have the ability to quantize the envelopes. So let me set up a quick thing where it's obvious what's happening here. Hold and release time. So now I can quantize the envelopes to anywhere from 257 steps rather to 3 steps. So quantized envelopes are really useful as modulation sources for setting up any number of things, kind of a grainy attack, or like actually if you route it to the pitch, you can set up almost like a spontaneous arpeggiator inside an oscillator. So that's one of the things. We added to the LFOs, we already had the step wave, but we added an additional mode called step, one-shot step. So now you can actually advance the step LFO with each trigger. So you can actually advance it by hitting the pads, or like have an envelope trigger the LFO and advance just a little bit at a time instead of just looping constantly. Well, I've been to a lot of NAMM shows for several different companies. I mean, I love seeing all the people come by, seeing all the light bulbs go on when people see what our synthesizers do.
Yeah.
I mean, making a personal connection, hearing their stories about what it is they're doing with our products and other products, how our products can meet their needs in ways that nothing else can.
Yeah.
So that's cool. And I just love seeing old friends too from the industry.
He's like pretty famous.
So Andrew here from Groove Synthesis. We're a relatively new company. This is our first product, the third wave, inspired by the PPG wave of the 1980s. It does what the PPG wave does, but also brings it into the modern era. And we think it has an amazing sound. Check us out at NAMM. Look for us on the internet, groovesynthesis.com. It's a hybrid synth, so there's digital oscillators, but they run through analog filters. Yeah, so this is 24 voices, 24 analog filters, 4-part multi-timbral. You can get a lot of the sounds that you get from Waldorf, but you could also get some warm analog sounds to mix with it.
Right.
And really, through the hard work and through the expertise of our golden years DSP engineer, Bob Coover, we make it sound amazing.
That's great.
So we debuted last year at NAMM in June.
Yep.
We've been selling direct for about 6 months, and we just recently started selling through distributors. Last year it was a little different because nobody heard we were new.
Yeah.
Nobody knew about it. It was a surprise.
Yeah.
It was even a surprise for us. It kind of got leaked early. We weren't even planning on doing it. But yeah, this year it's really cool because we see a lot of our customers come up and tell us about how they've been enjoying it.
Super exciting.